Welcome to week 8. You should be so proud of yourself for making it this far and even further along with your running. So there is about 2 weeks until the big event. And so today we're going to focus a little bit more on just moving our bodies. Of course, getting the glutes to turn on, getting a little bit of flexibility around the hips and spine. But we won't be doing any like standing lunges or squats or anything that's going to load up our legs too much, because you'll be in your taper time now, and we just want to take it a little bit easy and get things moving. So we're going to start standing today. Stand up down one end of your mat, and I just want you to take a really big breath in, reach your hands up to the ceiling, draw a big circle around, and again, hands to the ceiling, big circle as if you're trying to touch the roof. And now we'll drop the chin towards the chest and we'll roll down, keeping your knees straight, letting the spine do the bending to start with, and then bring your fingertips as close to the ground as you can. Soften through the knees, press through the heels, pull through the belly, and roll yourself back upright. Another big circle of the arms, and we'll roll down again, chin to chest, rounding your spine, lifting the belly button up towards the spine as if you're trying to roll over the top of a fence. Fingers come towards the floor, and then we'll just bend one knee at a time, starting to feel a little bit of length down the backs of the legs there. Keeping your fingertips in contact with the ground if you can, or maybe they're at your ankles, at the middle of your shins. Honestly, whatever your flexibility will allow you at the start of this session today, don't force it. Let's soften through both knees and start to walk your hands forward on the mat now. We're coming into a downward dog position. So once you're there, press your hips up towards the ceiling and your chest back towards your thighs. And then start to pedal your legs again, pushing one heel at a time down towards the mat. The aim of the game here is to really press your chest through towards your knees or your thighs and lift your hips up high. So you want to feel like you're really sinking the chest through the shoulders. I'll get you to come up onto both of your knees now. Bring yourself forward into a plank and pause there. Press the ground away through your palms, lift the chest, look straight down at the ground, tuck in through the tailbone and pull the belly to the spine, and then press back to your downward dog. Both heels towards the floor, lift up onto the toes, ripple forwards into your plank and hold, and then press back into your downward dog. So we're going to do a few of these, just getting everything moving. So you lift to the toes, you ripple forwards, you're pulling through the belly, really strong through the spine there. Hold it and then press back up. Let's do that 2 more times. So we lift up, ripple forwards, pause in the plank, make sure you're really holding it, and then press back. And one more time, come forward into your plank and hold. We're going to bring right knee to right elbow, and then just step it back. Left knee to left elbow, and step it back. Keep alternating here, and as your knee pulls forwards, really pull through the belly. So we're going to use the hip flexor to bring the knee forward, but also the tummy. So really use those core abdominals here to support you. Shoulders are strong, the chest is not sagging. And then I want you to bring your right knee towards your nose. Hold it there for a moment. Lift your knee up as high as you can towards your nose, and then plant your foot down on the ground. Lower your left knee, reach your hands to the ceiling. As if you're trying to touch the ceiling, but softening through the shoulders. And let's just tuck the bottom in and press the hips forward there, feeling an opening through the front of that left hip. Hold for a moment, and then we're going to sit back over the left heel, straightening through the right knee, and reach the right fingertips back behind you. You might have to move that right foot just for a moment there to get the right length, and then reach your hands to the ceiling, lunge forwards, opening the front of the left hip, and then sit back. If balance here is a bit tricky, just bring your fingertips to the floor. Otherwise, you can sweep your hands back behind you. Let's go. Lift, long, stretch through the front, and press back. Squeeze through the shoulder blades. Really pulling through the back of that hamstring. Let's go one more time. And stretch back. Good. Come forward into that hip flexor stretch. Open the right arm back behind you, and now touch the back of your left knee or thigh or hip, wherever you can reach with your right hand, and just reach your left arm nice and long. So we're really stretching that left hip flexor area. Ground yourself through the right heel, square up through the hips, and just open up there. Let's windmill our hands down towards the ground and straighten through that left leg. So lift the knee off the ground, push back, squeeze the thigh straight, reach the right hand to the ceiling, get another twist. Opening here, really push your right shoulder blade back. So try and get the opening to come from your chest as if you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your right hand. Bring your right hand to the ground, pause here a moment, and then we're going to step the left foot forward to join the right foot. Both knees are soft. Let's give those legs a little pedal again, and then with soft knees we'll roll ourselves back upright and roll the shoulders at the top. Now we'll just turn around and do the same thing for the other side. So big circle with the arms, and then we roll forward, chin comes to chest, rounding the spine, let the fingertips drop towards the floor, soften through the knees, roll yourself back up, another big circle, and then roll down, rounding the spine. Imagine that fence under your belly that you're trying to roll over the top of, and then we pedal out through our legs. Just a few times, might feel a little more stretch this time than last time, now that things are feeling a bit warmer. And then let's walk our hands forwards to our downward dog position. From here, chest goes back towards the thighs, hips lift up towards the ceiling, and then again, let's pedal those legs. It's a very satisfying stretch this. One heel at a time, press back. Once you've had enough of that, let's lift up high onto the toes, ripple the body forwards, find your plank. There's always room to adjust here. I might need to bring my hands forward a little. And then let's lift the hips, press the chest back towards the thighs, both heels push down, and then we ripple forward, find that plank, hold it, and then press back. So I want a really clear pause in the downward dog position, and then a really clear pause in that plank position. Imagine that there's a couple of springs connecting your ribs to your hips. I talk about this a bit, but they're really tensioning through the front. Let's go back to downward dog, and then we'll ripple forwards into one last plank, hold it there. Belly on firm, let's go left knee to left elbow, tuck it in, and then step it back. Right knee to right elbow, and step. Keep alternating here. I want you to have a really good strong exhale as you tuck the knee in, and then an inhale as you step it back. Exhale, tuck, use the tummy. Inhale, step back. One more for each side. Let's go left knee to nose, pull, 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 lift it up as much as you can, pop it down, and lower the right knee to the floor. Let's come up into our hip flexor stretch here. Fingertips to the ceiling, tucking the pelvis in, really connecting those ribs to hips, and let's stretch upwards. Maybe creep that left foot forward a little bit further, and then we'll sit back, stretching out the back of that left hamstring, squeezing the shoulder blades. Again, fingertips can come to the floor if you're finding the balance there a bit tricky. Lifting up nice and long, and then stretching back. If your kneeling knee is not comfortable with this, you can actually double your mat over, or get a blanket or a towel to pop under it just to soften that surface. Let's go one more time. Hip flexor stretch, tucking in, pushing through the pelvis, sitting back, pause a moment, and then we'll come up. We'll open out that left arm, twist through the body first, and then bring the left hand to the back of the right thigh. Right arm reaches long. Really opening the front of the right hip, squeezing the right buttock, reaching up and over, hold there. And then let's windmill our arms down to the ground. Lift the left knee, straighten the back leg, and press the left hand towards the ceiling. Let's open that left shoulder blade back. Get that sense that you're rotating from your chest, but the left leg stays nice and square. Hold there for a big breath in. And then bring your left hand to the ground. Now instead of stepping forwards, you're going to bring that left leg back to join the right. Hold your plank for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees, sit back towards the heels, and take 3 deep breaths here in your rest position. Forehead is on the ground, arms can be down by your sides or reaching forwards. Whatever you feel comfortable with. Take one more big breath in and out, and then come onto your hands and knees. So from here, we're going to stretch that left leg out behind us. straighten the knee, really squeeze through the thigh here and the buttock muscle to keep that leg nice and long. Let's raise the leg to about hip level and then back down to tap the floor. Hip level and down. We're going to be here for a few, just getting the left glutes to turn on, hip extensors. But I want you to have a quick look at your right thigh and check, is it vertical? So when you look at it, if it's sort of angling inwards, if it looks like your hip has shifted over to the right, try and square up. Press a little more firmly through your left palm so that you're really square here, and really you should feel your abdominals work. So try and picture those springs again. Let's lift the left leg, hold it there. We're gonna draw some rainbows. So tap to the left, up and around to the right, up and around to the left. So nice big arcs. Now when your leg lifts up, just check that you're not lifting so high that your back arches. So if you stay really connected through your stomach muscles, and if we can isolate this to the glutes, you'll definitely get a lot more out of it. Let's go for 3 more rainbows. 2 and 1. Lift your leg up to hip level and just little pulses there. So we're keeping the knees straight, working purely from the hip. Let's do another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the toes to the ground, but don't bend the knee. Bring your right elbow to the floor. So we're on a bit of an angle now. I want you to tap your toes to the outside of your mat, so onto the floor, and then sweep your leg in a diagonal up and back. So we tap sort of forwards and down, up and back. It's a nice diagonal line. And I want you to feel like you're working where the back pocket of your jeans would be. Just take a moment to check through your shoulders. So we're nice and strong and open through the chest. Your chest is lifting away from the ground. Now I'm starting to feel my right glute work as well because it's supporting me. And the left one is doing all the movement. So we've got a supporting leg and a moving leg. Let's go for another 5 of these. 4, and then we'll have our pulses, of course. 3, 2. Lift that leg back and hold it for a moment. We're pulsing in that diagonal direction, I should say. Sort of backing up into that back pocket. Should be getting a pretty nice squeeze of that glute now. Let's do another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Bring it down and lie all the way down onto your right side. You can prop your head on your hand, or you can rest your head all the way down. Whichever one you're doing, make sure you've got your gap under your right waist. All right, we can't lose that. So let's stretch the left leg out long to hip level. Toes are pointed to begin with. Wave your foot forwards. And now flex the foot, sweep it back, drag through the heel. Toes point on the way forwards, and then they flex on the way back. Now remember some of the cues from previous classes. So if that bottom leg's relaxed, then you're doing this well. If you can feel like your bottom leg's trying to grip the ground and it's really turning on, then you might be waving your leg too far. Because what will happen is if you take your leg out of the base of support that you can control, you'll start to feel like you're trying to grip the ground with your bottom leg. I've just realized I've swapped my ankle movement. We flex on the way forwards and point on the way back. Just keeping you on your toes. Flex forwards and point back. Now hold there, flex the toes, bend the knee, straighten the knee out in front of you, point your toes to sweep it back. So we go flexed foot, flat foot, knee bends, leg straightens, toes point to sweep it back. Flex it on the way forwards, straighten the knee out, point to sweep back. Good, now keep hold of that left hip so that you're not starting to wave your pelvis around. That's really important here. We want to work on, in our running style, being able to move through our legs and our arms without needing to move our trunk as well. If we can keep our trunk nice and square, then you're much less likely to get any of those hip, knee, ankle, back, even some people get shoulder blade pain, all these funny areas when we're moving unnecessarily and not using our body the way it should. All right, can we bend the knee forwards? Keep it there. Don't move the thigh, just straighten the leg out and bend. Straighten, bend, straighten, bend. Make sure that left hip hasn't started to tilt forwards. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, one more time, straighten it out, point the toes, sweep it back, and rest. Good job. Rolling straight onto your back. We're not quite done with this left glute. Let's do one bridging sequence and then we'll give it a good stretch. So palms flat on the ground, you can turn them upwards if you like. Bring your feet to a position where you can just touch your heels and that they're hip width apart, no wider than that. Tuck your bottom in, round your spine, press through both of your heels, squeeze the hips up towards the ceiling. We should be nice and open through the fronts of our hips at the moment. And then let's roll back down, bone by bone, feeling the ribs, then the lower back, and you've really got to squeeze your pelvis under to get the tailbone to touch last. For most people, that won't happen naturally. Some people move really fluidly. Generally, if you love your running, you can tend to be a little bit more on the stiffer side, so you might have to work a bit harder with this. Rolling back, bone by bone. That's not to say plenty of bendy people don't run, they do. Roll back up and hold it when you get to the top. Glutes are on. Let's just lift the right heel up and down. Pelvis stays square. Have a quick look at your hip bones. Check that your ribs are sinking towards the hips. And we're just lifting that right heel. Toes stay on the ground. If you're feeling okay with this, let's lift the heel and then lift the leg. Up and down. Just the toes touch down and then lift. So at the moment, that left glute's definitely on. It's doing quite a bit. Let's keep squeezing through the left butt and pressing through the left heel. We'll do another 3 of these lifts. Use the stomach muscles as well. Lift that knee up, hold it there. Lower your hips halfway down, squeeze all the way up. We've got 5, 4. Try not to use your arms. 2, 1 more lift and hold. Squeeze it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll it down bone by bone like we were practicing. 1 bone at a time comes to rest. Pop the right foot down. Hook your left ankle onto your right thigh. Hug your legs towards your chest. Now you can stay here if you like, or you can roll up to sitting with me in this position to get an even deeper stretch. So let's roll up, place the right foot on the ground, scoot your bum around, and then rock the legs side to side. So we're in a slightly deeper stretch position here. If you want to stay lying down, you can. And when I rock my right knee to the right, I really feel my left glute. So I'm just going to focus in that spot there, but you can work wherever you feel the most stretch. Good job. So that definitely woke up my left glute. I hope it woke up yours too. We're going to come into some abdominal work now with some roll downs. So if you sit up nice and tall with your feet in front of your knees are at about 90 degrees, and I just want you to feel that your weight is sitting right up on top of your sit bones. So your spine is nice and long here. Let's reach the arms forward. Similar to our bridges, tuck your pelvis under, pull the pubic bone towards the belly button, and start to roll your weight back towards your tailbone. And then you'll find a point where you're sort of sitting off the back of your sit bones on your tailbone. If you can go further, by all means do, but make sure your back is round. So it's not an arching back or a leaning back, it's a scooping. Pause at the bottom, inhale, and then exhale, roll back the way you can. So ribs sink, belly sinks, we roll through, and then we sit back up onto those sit bones. Let's tuck under, pubic bone to belly button, ribs to hips. Imagine those springs are getting really tight now, they're really pulling through the front of the stomach wall. Breathe in at your lowest point, and then breathe out to roll forwards. And really squeeze the stomach muscles. Don't expect them to do this without you sort of forcing them to do it. It takes a while to learn how the movements are supposed to feel in Pilates. And so for a long time, you have to just kind of force it. So force that squeeze, pull through the belly. Don't let your body do it the way it sort of wants to do it. The path of least resistance, we call it. Let's roll back and hold it at the bottom. Holding here, I want you to pull your right elbow back like you're rowing. Turn to that right side. Feel that left rib come towards the middle of your belly. And then back through center, we'll go to the left now. Left elbow pulls back. Right rib comes towards the middle of the belly. Now I've said this cue before. Imagine like you're in a big pot of honey and you're moving through that honey. So create some resistance for yourself. We don't need a band here. If we create that resistance on our own, let's do 1 more to each side, still working through those lower abdominals, pulling nice and firmly through the belly area. 1 more to the left, back to the middle, hold here, little pulses. So we're squeezing through the ribs. Exhale to squeeze, inhale to pulse. Let's go for 3, 2, hold it there. Bring your left hand beside your right. And we're pulsing here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to the middle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right hand beside the left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to the middle. One more round. 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit all the way out. Well done. Give those shoulders a roll. Really open your chest towards the ceiling, grabbing onto your knees to create some of that leverage there. And then let's cross the ankles over, bring our hands to the mat in front of us, and we'll come into our glutes on the right side. So find that neutral spine position, belly to spine, nice and long through the spine there, and long through the back of the neck. When you're ready, slide your right leg out long, squeeze through your thigh, squeeze through your glute, and let's raise that leg up and down. Got my toes pointed for this set. We want to just really lightly tap the ground with the toes. So when the foot comes down, you're not actually putting any weight on it. I like the analogy of imagining there's a little puddle on the ground and you're just so lightly dipping your toe onto the surface and then back up. Remember also that we want to keep the lower back from arching. So picture those springs pulling through the front of your stomach wall and use the glute to do the work, not your back. Let's lift and hold and shift to our rainbows. Tap to the right, up and over, tap to the left. To the right and to the left. So with your rainbows, we still want to get a bit of height. So we still want to get the leg to lift up to about hip level. And we're still really light with our taps. So now there's 2 puddles either side of your mat. Let's go for another 5 here. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift to hip level and pulse there for 5, 4. Tummy on tight for this. 3, 2. Lift and hold. Lower the toes to the ground. Lower the left elbow to the mat. Turn your chest slightly to the side and bring your toes to the outside edge of your mat. Now we sweep up on that diagonal and down. Up and back, forward and down. Leg is still really straight, so your thighs are on. Your thigh muscle is on. Have a look at that left thigh. Make sure it's vertical, so it hasn't tipped to the side, even though the rest of our body has. We're still nice and strong through that left hip area as well. Let's do another 5 here before we move to our pulses. 4, squeezing right where the back pocket of your jeans would be. 3, 2, lift it up, hold it up, pulsing back on that diagonal line. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Come down onto your left side. Again, you can rest with your left arm fully outstretched, or you can prop up on your left elbow. Right hand on the hip, create that space under your waist. Check that your hips are pointing straight forward. And then we've got our toes pointed to begin with. Stretch the leg long. Let's flex the foot as we sweep the leg forwards. Point the toes as we sweep the leg back. Got it right the first time this time. Flex foot forwards and then toes point to sweep back. And pull back through that glute that we've just done all that work on. So when we lie on our sides, we then shift the gravity to our hip abductors, whereas before we were working our hip extensors. But when you pull your leg back, you can still get that glute max to do a little bit of the work there. So kind of like when we were sitting up doing our rowing action before. If you imagine that you're pulling your leg through honey or water or something that creates a little bit of resistance to your movement, that will help you get those muscles to engage. Remember, bottom leg should be relaxed. Give it a little shake out, and if you feel like it's working, perhaps don't move your right leg as far forward. Work with a smaller range of movement. If you want to pop your right thumb on the back of your hip there to feel that that muscle is doing the work here, that's where you'll find your glute med and glute min. Just sort of back from that knobbly bone on the side of the hip, back and a little bit up. All right, let's go to our knee bends. So flexed foot, leg bends, straightens, and then we point the toes to sweep back. We go bent leg forwards, straighten it out, sweep it back. Engage through the core as well. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift to hip level and pulse there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to the middle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there. Bring your left hand beside your right. And we're pulsing here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there. flex it, straighten it, sweep it back. Nice one. So my glutes are really working now. Hopefully you can feel it too. If you can't, I would suggest you just double check. Are your hips square? You might be rolling back a little bit, and that will change where you feel this and where you're working. Either that or maybe you're really strong, stronger than me. But a lot of the time it's just positioning. And sweep back. All right, let's flex that knee, bring it forwards. Keep the thigh still. We straighten and bend through the knee, out and in, kind of like you're kicking forwards. Keep that right hip pulling back, keep that left leg relaxed. Let's go for 3, 2, 1 more. Straighten it out in front of you, point the toes, sweep it back, and rest. Well done. Give that a rub. Okay, let's roll onto our backs. We are nearly there. Just touch your heels, make sure that the heels are within reach, and then have a look at your legs, check that they're no wider than hip width apart. Otherwise it'll make the single leg bridges really challenging. And let's roll up. So tucking the bottom in, feel the lower back flattened. While you're doing these bridges, I want you to picture yourself doing your roll downs as well, because they go hand in hand. In the bridge, we're obviously working in the opposite direction, but it's the same action, same scoop, same rounding of the spine. So it can help to practice these movements in different positions. Just to get your head around what you're trying to do, let's lower back through the ribs, the lower back, keep that bottom tucking, and then rest it. We'll roll up one last time, so tuck the bottom in, press through the heels, squeezing ribs to hips, let's hold it there. We're lifting the left heel this time, up and down. Just shifting that weight slightly onto the right side. If you're feeling okay here, let's lift the heel and then lift the whole leg up, and then toes come down. Up and down. And now we've got that combo effort here of the abdominals and the right glute working to keep everything nice and stable. Let's do one more lift. Hold that left leg where it is. Lower the hips halfway down. Squeeze them up. 5, 4, 3 to go. 3, 2, 1 more. Press through that heel. Hold your hips high for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, roll it down nice and slow, bone by bone, ribs, lower back, tailbone. Left foot can come down, right ankle hooks over the side, over the front of the left thigh. Again, if you're happy here, stay here. If you want to roll up to sitting with me, by all means do. And then let's rock that left knee, I should say, rock that left knee side to side, particularly focusing on that left side. That's where I feel the most stretch. But of course, go exploring for yourself. Side to side. I could probably stay in this stretch for a whole lot longer. But in the interest of moving forward, let's take that right foot to the floor. Sit up nice and tall, right up on your sit bones. Let's do one more opening of the chest, and then we'll go back to our roll downs. So hands reach forward. Think of being nice and open through your collarbones. Roll back from your sit bones to your tailbone. Hollow out through the belly. Think of your bridge. Think of that rolling action. Let's roll backwards towards the tailbone. Inhale when you feel like you've gone low enough, and then exhale, roll forwards. And if you're not sure where low enough is, if your feet start to lift up off the ground, that's a bit too far. So you want to go to that point where you are able to keep your feet resting on the ground, and you're able to keep your abdominals doing the work. And it sort of feels like if you went any further, you might lose control. Let's roll back again and hold there. So we're going to go back to our twists. Let's row the left elbow first and hold it there. Straighten it out. Sweep it around back to the middle. Right side. Elbow bends, opens out, and then we sweep it back to the middle. Keep alternating here. Let's row, stretch, and sweep around. Right side, row, stretch, sweep around. If you feel comfortable here, let's go around to the side and then up and over. Just changing up the arm action a little bit. So we open to the back and then we raise up and over. Let's do one more here to the left, up and over, one more to the right, kind of like your arm is a big clock. And let's hold here for our pulses. Pulsing to the middle for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right hand comes beside the left and we pulse here. So when you're pulsing to the side, it's like your right rib is coming towards your left hip. 3, 2, 1. Back to the middle for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left hand beside the right. Think of your left rib coming towards your right hip. 2, 1. We've got one more round in the middle. Last round. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hold it there. And let's roll all the way down to the ground. Well done. Stretch your arms overhead and stretch your legs out long, like you're being stretched from end to end. And then open your elbows out to the side to 90-degree angles. Bring your knees towards your chest. We're going to rock the legs over to the left. Don't let the right arm lift off the ground. So right elbow's resting nice and heavy on the ground. And then just start to draw a line up and down with your right hand. Trace the floor, stretch up and down. You're going to feel a really nice stretch through your chest here. Up and down. Keep your shoulder blade pulling back as best you can. And then keep that right elbow straight. Draw a big semicircle up and overhead. And then back down by your side. This should feel really nice on your right chest area. Let's bend that elbow. Use the tummy muscles. Bring your knees through center and over to the right. Let the knees rest on the floor if you can. And then let's start just tracing the ground up and down with the left arm. Opening through the front of the left shoulder here, the pec area. And then if we straighten that elbow up, then we'll draw little semicircles to the side. Keeping that shoulder blade pulling back. And bend that elbow, bring your knees back to the center. We're going to grab the backs of our thighs and roll all the way up to standing. And finish with one last roll down. So let's draw a big circle with our arms up to the ceiling, around, roll forwards, chin comes to your chest, bring your fingertips towards the floor, pedal out through your legs. And because this is our last class, of course I'm going to finish with my absolute favourite. Let's bend through the left knee, keep the right leg straight, reach the right hand to the ceiling, feel that stretching everything, hold it there for a moment. Come back through the middle, swap it over, bend the right knee, reach the left hand to the ceiling. Back to the middle, let's do it again, just because it feels so good. Open across, feel that all the way down the back of your right leg. Back to the middle, last one to the left. Stretch it up there, hold it as long as you like. Come back through center, now both knees are soft. I want you to press through your heels, pull through your belly. We're rolling up to standing really slowly here, bone by bone. When you get to the top, one more big circle with the arms. Bring the hands down, roll your shoulders out, and we are done. So good luck with your final week of training. This is the best week, taper week, carb load week. It's all downhill from here. And good luck with your run, and thank you for joining me for this 8-week program.